Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be considering what type of rail you should get for your AR. Okay? It doesn't matter whether it's an AR-15, an AR-10, an AR-9. If you're getting a free-floating rail, right, your two basic options is, do you get one that has a Picatinny rail all the way across the top, like this one? Okay, a lot of times I'll refer to this as having teeth. And the reason I say that is because when you grip this, right, barehanded, you can definitely, if you take a C-clamp, you can definitely feel the teeth biting into your skin, okay? It's not terrible or anything, but you can definitely, feel it, okay? The other option that's common is if you get one, like this other one here, both of these are for Palmetto. This one has teeth in the front, teeth in the back, or Picatinny rail in the back, front and back. But this area over here is smooth. Now it does have M-lock in there, so you can always add sections of rail, like I did to the bottom over here. But this is a lot more comfortable to grip, okay? And aside from it being a lot more comfortable to grip, it's also thinner, okay? So this is a lot thinner to hold, all right? So especially if you have like I use this 3-slot rail, so I use that as an anchoring point. So my hand has to go around the 3-slot. So again, if this rail was thicker, that, again, my hand would end up being a little bit wider. And not so much of a big deal with the AR-15s, but if you have like an AR-10, right, everything is kind of bigger on an AR-10, right, which shoots 308, slightly fatter barrel, slightly fatter rail. So that can be more of an issue. So if you have an AR-10, that's a little bit more of an issue why you may not want to have the Picatinny rail going all the way up and down, on this rail over here. Now, the other thing it does is it does tend to add a little bit more weight, okay, because as you can see here, the Picatinny rail has to be sturdy, right, because you're usually clamping things onto it like scopes and really, tightening them down. So this area over here tends to add weight, and it's adding it towards the front end of the rifle. So that's the other thing. Having Picatinny rail all the way across the top does add a little bit more weight. Okay? So there's definitely a comfort issue with getting this style, right, where you don't have Picatinny rail in this middle section over here, but make sure you get one that has M-locks, right, where if I wanted to add things on top of here, I can always add like little sections of like, of Picatinny rail, M-lock rail wherever I want on this. So that is a great convenience. The other thing I look for is you got these QD mounting points, so I can put I can basically directly mount a QD sling, right? So that's also a great convenience. Now on this one over here, right, this has a variable scope on it. So definitely with something that you don't, because usually if you're going to put a variable scope on a rifle, you're not putting other stuff on it, usually, right? I mean, you could, but definitely in that case, you would probably want to get a smooth, you want this to be mostly smooth so you can grip it. You can have a little bit of rail up here in the front, a little bit back here is convenient. But for the most part, you want, you got enough weight on the gun that, you don't need that extra rail over here adding extra weight. Okay. Now, the other thing to consider is the length of the rail versus the barrel. So all these are 16-inch barrels. If you look at this one comes basically almost the whole, there's a 15-inch rail, right? So it comes almost the whole 16 inches of the barrel. So again, this adds extra weight. What I have found to be most convenient is to have like a 16-inch barrel and then a 12-inch rail like I have here, okay? This is a Radical Firearms AR. So I have found this to be a perfect, perfect. So this one over here, it even though it has rail going all the way up and down, it kind of because this adds weight, but it takes back weight by not coming all the way to the front. So by having 12 inches of rail, that is a way that you can have, you can have a Picatinny rail going all the way across top. So the question becomes like, okay, so if you're not putting like like if you're not using night vision, right? Because a lot of times when people have night vision, you know, they mount like an aiming device up here, a laser aiming device. So that necessitates the need to having to add things here. So what would you want to do with this rail section? Okay. Well, as you can see over here, I've got my flip-up sights over here. So the question is, why would I want to put my flip-up sights there of all places? Why here? Okay. So the primary aiming device on this scope is the scope, right? I like these big window optics, right? Because they are great for, you know, moving and shooting and running and gunning and being, if you're in a moving vehicle or in a helicopter, you know, you can still keep track of that circle dot. Okay, so that's my primary aiming device. So the thing that comes next is, okay, what is the next most likely thing that I would be using? Right? It's not the flip-up sights. The next most likely thing that I would be using is the magnifier. Okay, this is a house on 3x. Okay, and I routinely shoot, you know, at 200-300 yards with this gun, where having a 3x magnifier is very handy. Okay, so that is the next most important thing I want to put on this AR after the optic itself, the magnifier. Okay, so generally I center the optic over the ejection port, and then the magnifier has to go behind it. I really can't move up the magnifier because, for one thing, there's eye relief issues. Okay, with these magnified optics, they have to be at a certain distance to your eye. So if you move it too far forward, you'll start to see shadow. So that kind of necessitates this spot over here being reserved for the magnifier. Okay, people have said, hey, you can slide it up just a little bit where the this optic, you know, kind of straddles the front rail a little bit. Yeah, I could, but again, I you know, there's the issue of running into eye relief issues if I slide everything back and try to get the rear sight someplace back here. So the rear sight, right, the iron sights is something that I really don't expect to need. Okay, so for that reason, they go in the spot that is, you know, that I'm not, that you know, basically the magnifier takes priority, and then whatever's left over, that's where the iron sights go. Now, how about this spot up here? Why do I have the front sight post back here? Why not up here? Well, I do some night shooting. I don't do it like every day, but one of the things I have found that it is really convenient to take a pistol light and mount it to the front, and this works really great, right? Right, and I can run this lefty or righty without pressure pads. Okay, because my thumb can come over the top, and it basically works great with my C-clamp. Right, and again, I can go righty or lefty with this. So this is very efficient use of the rail system. Okay, so because this spot up here has to be reserved for the light, this spot back here has to reserve for the magnifier, optic goes here. What do I have left over? The iron sights, they're going to go in the spot that's left over right over here. Okay, now you might say, well, you know, they're too close. You know, you want your flip-up sights as far, you know, as far apart as possible. You know what? I've shot these out to 100 yards without any problem. Okay, so now remember, this is for an emergency situation where your optic is not working. Now, even though this is solar powered with a battery backup, so we're talking about 2 battery sources failing on you. Okay, so in that situation, yeah, I flip up my flip-up sights. Okay, and let me power this down. I'm going to power down the optic so that you can't see the. And that's what that's going to look like, right there. And even the light in the front really doesn't interfere because everything is going. You're looking just over that light. That front light in the front kind of appears like a front sight post, right? So this appears when you're looking through this. This looks like a front sight post. Okay? And again, the great thing about this system here, right? The way I have this set up is that at night I don't need the magnifier, so I just take that off. In the daytime, I don't need the light. unless I think I'm going to be going indoors into a basement or something that may not be lit. So again, take that off, put these things into your pouch, right, or your backpack or wherever, and now I have a much lighter gun. Okay? So this is in my opinion, this is a very good use, or a very good reason to have a Picatinny rail that goes all the way across the top. And on a 16-inch barrel, having 12 inches of rail is plenty, right? This is plenty. If you're going to get a longer one, right, like something that comes all the way to the top over here, that's going to add a lot more weight. So if you're going to have one that goes like 15 inches like this one over here, yeah, you definitely don't want all this section over here filled in with Picatinny, because that adds weight. So definitely get no Picatinny rail here. Again, you got M-locks here, so you can add M-lock anytime you want, okay? And, you know, especially if you're going to put a variable scope on it like this, it's not likely you would be putting stuff up here. So you want to keep this area here as light as possible, okay? So they're my thoughts on that. If you're going to if you want Picatinny rail going all the way across the top, the only reason why I think you would want it is because maybe this is your primary and you want to put this in your, you know, you want to store this ready to go for all scenarios, right? So you want to have a light mounted on it, right? Now there's other places where you can mount the light. You can put it on the sides and stuff, but the problem is if I put it on the side, I can't access it lefty or righty unless I add a pressure pad, which now again, when you start adding pressure pads, I can't easily put the light on and take it off, you know, as I need to, right? And again, if you plan to keep a magnifier on this, okay, so if this is how you intend to store your rifle, right? Yeah, that's a good reason to get Picatinny rail going all the way across the top. And again, 12 inches is enough. If you go to more rail, you're going to definitely add more weight to the front of the gun. If you notice on this, on the bottom side here, I have a 3-slot rail. I use this both as an anchoring point for my hands, right? And I also, well, I powered the optic down before so I can show you. So I use this, let's get you powered back up. I just dimmed it down. If you want to test out your iron sights, all you got to do is just dim down your optic, your red dot, so you can't see it. So I've got the 3-slot here, rail here, which acts as an anchoring point, okay? And also I put a bipod here sometimes if I'm shooting at distance, like if I'm shooting like I'm going into the woods, right? And I don't want to have to carry like sandbags. I just throw a bipod onto this. And the other thing I've done here on the side, right, because remember there's all M-lock over here on the side. I've put a QD point here for my sling. Okay, so on these other ones here, they've got a QD mounting point already built into the rifle, which is very convenient. But one of the things to just be aware of is if you use the QD, if you're constantly putting a QD mount here, I guess over time, over a long period of time, this can wear out. Okay, so the nice thing about having, mounting your QD mounting point onto, like this, is if this wears out, I just replace this. I don't have to worry about replacing the whole rail. If that QD mounting point at some point, right, wears out, well, I can't use that, basically. I mean, all I would have to do is, I wouldn't even bother changing this if that were, because I do use this QD mounting point. If this were to wear out at some point, I would just put on this M-lock rail here, I would just do the same thing I did on this rifle. I would just put one of these M-locks on there for mounting the sling, okay? So there's some ideas, because, every time I'm ordering an upper, I'm sitting there and I'm like, should I get this rail or that rail, or how many along? So and I've been buying uppers for many years now. Having bought a whole bunch of them, I'm just showing you a very tiny sample here. What I have found is that unless you're planning to do something like this, where you're actually mounting stuff here in the middle, it makes more sense to get one that doesn't have rail over here. Just some rail in the front, some rail in the back, but an M-lock because it'll be a lot lighter. Okay. Other thing I want to show you guys real quick is if you get a stock, because I like mounting my, because the way I mount my sling is I'll go to the front over here, and then I'll go to the stock over here on the outside, right? I'll go on the outside over here because it helps control the rifle. However, a lot of these stocks, it doesn't come with that. So what I do is I just get a QD socket, and as you can see over here, I just drill it and screw it in. Right, that's the opposite side, right? Turn it around. So that's where I put the QD socket. You should be able to kind of see it there. Okay, so that's I've done this with like a lot of them. Like, in fact, all of these stocks over here. That's exactly what I did. Right? You get the nuts that have the stop nuts that have the plastic over there, so that it stays in place and it doesn't come out. So this is a really good way. All three of these, I'll put these aftermarket stocks over here, QD sockets on them. All right, so that works really well. All right, so anyway, you don't have to worry about buying a whole other stock. You can because a lot of times you get like these really cheap stocks that come with these ARs, right? And it's like, what I do is like I'll also put it on there, and then I'll use that for like guns that I don't use that much. But one of the things when I'm buying a stock, I like this triangle style here. For one thing, it protects the button here, basically, that adjusts this. Because what happens is a lot of times if you're shooting, right, and if you're bagging the back of this, and you're taking a sniper hold, if this isn't protected, it gets hit and it moves. Okay, so I want this piece over here to protect that, so that when I'm bagging this, it doesn't get activated. The other thing is I like this angle here, because again, when I'm putting a bag, I can slide this up and down on this angle, and that helps me get the elevation that I want. So it's a little bonus for you guys as far as selecting a stock. I have found this style very, very useful. For distance shooting, right? Where you're bagging, you got a bag in the front of the gun, bag in the back of the gun. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know a lot of you guys are, it's end of the year now, Black Friday weekend. A lot of you guys are shopping around for different AR uppers and different parts. So I'm doing a bunch of videos to kind of help you guys out with your shopping. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon. And check your subscription. I have found out YouTube has been unsubscribing a lot of my viewers. So check your subscription. Make sure you're still subscribed. I'll talk to you all soon. Hey everyone, a couple of things I wanted to add. First of all, let me do this. Before, when I gave you guys a peek through here, let me give you guys another peek. All right, so that's what it looks like with the 65 MOA circle over the light, right? So again, you can see how that flashlight really doesn't get in the way. It kind of looks like an A2 post. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to power this down, because earlier when I flipped up the sights, I realized I had the distance shooting aperture. So what I did is I want to give you guys, see, now you can actually see the whole of the rear sight. You can see what that's going to look like. Now that ghost ring, the way that's supposed to work is that this is supposed to be basically like, because they say nose to charging handle. When you are close, right, and that ghost ring is in the back, the ghost ring basically ghosts out, and then your eye naturally centers the front sight post. Okay? So there's no question that the ghost ring is going to work better back here. That's how it was designed to work. But for an emergency situation, this works. And like I said, I've had this out to 100 yards. There you can see through that hole there. Okay, and this through the camera. Like when I'm looking through this myself, okay, I have no trouble, you know, lining up that front post. Okay, and so let me. And again, the great thing about this is I can remove that. I don't think I'm going to be shooting at distance. Okay, I can remove the light if I don't think I'm going to be using it. So these things are easy on, easy off. Okay, and so now let's talk about this setup over here that I'm left with. So in a situation where, let's say, apocalypse has come, I'm basically gone through all my batteries, and I'm starting to see the blinky, right? Because this optic, what happens is that when the battery starts running down, you get the blinky. Well, it's not that difficult to take this and move it back here, and take this and move it up here, okay? So this doesn't have to stay here. At the point when you get to the point where it's like, okay, now I have to use iron sights, you can move it, okay? But in the meantime, like in an emergency situation, you can use this just fine. I mean, most of the iron sights on your pistol are a lot closer together than this, and I've actually been able to get hits, consistent hits out to 100 yards with this setup, just using these iron sights. Okay, so if the optic starts doing the blinky, you use whatever battery you got left. You basically move this to the back, move that to the front, or in this case, I've got solar power. So, so during the daytime, and what you do is I don't even have to fire a shot. I just confirm the zero on my iron sights to my red dot, right, after I move it. And you guys might be surprised, but right now with the zero I have on these iron sights, and I've done this, when you move the rear sight back here and the front sight up here, there's no adjustment that needs to be made. Okay, with these type of iron sights, you're not gonna, because remember, you're just centering that front sight post, right? You're centering the front sight post in that ring in the back. So this is designed for combat accuracy, not precision accuracy. Okay, that's not what these with the ghost ring and this. This is designed for combat accuracy. So to 100 yards, absolutely no trouble. Just take this, move this to the back. Take this, move this to the front. You don't need to adjust it. You'll be able to get hits if you're starting off. If in this position over here, it's already zeroed in. Okay, so I just wanted to make you guys aware that a lot of times people don't realize. You think that sometimes people will think that if you move this from here to there and here to there, you gotta sit there and you gotta make major adjustments to your iron sights. No, you don't need to make major adjustments. You will immediately have good combat accuracy. Okay? So thanks for watching. Flip these guys down. I'll talk to you all soon.